Hey. Alright, late start. My goodness. Not good. I think it's 11:30. Oh, that's what happens when you don't camp by yourself. Yeah. I got stuck like a father and his son and his son's good friend. They're doing like a 12-day outing on the AT from Colorado. And so anyway, just got into talking, and then, yep, time goes by. I wake up at like 6:30, and I don't leave for 5 hours. That's crazy. But oh well. I mean, I did a little bit of laundry, and I had to do my poison ivy wash, and then eat breakfast and stuff. But it was mostly just talking, wasting a lot of time. And then, so that means I don't get many breaks today. That's no good. I took all my breaks at one time in the morning. So we'll see. I was thinking of getting in 12 miles today. That's 2 shelters away. That's what they're trying to do. And I was saying I wanted to do at least 10. I'm trying to get 10-mile days in now. A minimum of 10 for a few days in a row. Until I get to Franklin, and then probably do like a 5-mile day. You know, get into Franklin, camp just before Franklin, get into town, camp just after Franklin. Keep it an easy day. But that would be like, so 3 or 4, I guess 3 days probably, of like 10-mile days. And then that'll get me there. So that's what I'm trying to do. Anything else? Heard some interesting, history of the South, because this guy's from Louisiana. And so he has a different perspective on the South and the Civil War. And so maybe after I think about some more about our conversation, maybe I'll share some of that stuff with you. Oh boy. The beginning of today is a good chunk uphill. A little bit up down, but like there's a good, like, I don't know how far it would be. It might be 2 or 3 miles where it's just a real strong uphill. And then it's a real big downhill after that. And then it's, little bunny hops, which are not so easy. It looks easy on the map. And then when you're doing it, you're like, oh God, I thought this was going to be easy. But yeah, this area is never easy. So that's what the map looks like today. So, yeah, Civil War, or like the Confederacy, really. What is it called? The Succession of the South, something like that. Breaking off from America. So, my understanding was that, like, Abraham Lincoln said no slaves, and then they were like, yes, slaves, and then fight. But, very simple. But apparently, let's see, another perspective. Different history. I mean, it's nitpicking, kind of, but the war itself was not started on slavery. So says this guy who has a different perspective of the history. And apparently it was started because of taxes, which maybe you've heard before. I've heard it before, but now I have a little bit more details as to what may have occurred. The South was doing a lot of cotton stuff and making more money than the North, and developing a bit more political power because of it. And I guess it was Lincoln didn't like that, and I believe in the North they didn't have slavery. It was, at this point, it was only in the South, and so the South was making a lot more money because of their free labor. And so Lincoln upped the taxes a lot on the South, on the southern states. So the South would trade or sell their cotton up north, and then up north they would sell it overseas. And then everyone was making good money from it. And yeah, the big part was the cotton gin. Enabled them to get a lot more cotton than like overnight, you know, just huge invention. Enabled way more efficient cotton collecting. But yeah, so they were being taxed like way more than the northern states, and they didn't think that was fair. And so basically the South started selling directly to the French and maybe some other overseas countries, and then so the French were coming up into Louisiana, probably New Orleans, and then being sold there. So then Lincoln was like, all right, if you want to bypass my taxes, then I'm going to use the U.S. military and put a blockade down there. So he put ships down there to stop the trades from happening. And I guess it was about this point that the South was like, okay, well, this is baloney, absolute baloney. So we're going to start fighting now. And then apparently they started fighting over that. And then in the middle of the fighting, as like, I guess as an afterthought kind of, then the declaration of no slavery, I guess, happened, and his idea was that was to help create, I guess, greater conflict in the South amongst the slaves and the owners to help, I guess, prevent or help win the war, basically. Try to get the slaves in the South to start fighting for the North by freeing them at the federal level. And then, so it kind of just happened as a war maneuver instead of as a like moral right kind of thing. But I mean, that's just the new information, and I think there's more to it. And I think probably both sides together have the correct story. But that was just, you know, interesting, new perspective. I would have to, yeah, it made me really interested to read. Like, yeah, it would be nice if I could somehow find a very truthful culmination of the beginning of the Civil War and the true reasons as to its beginnings and the accurate order of events. So, I mean, that's just, it's really interesting. So, I don't know if I'll get into that. If I was at a computer right now, I'd start doing some research, but I don't have that out here. So, anyway, just put that in there. Put that out there. What do you guys think? I'm not looking for any type of war. This is just open, just, you know, non-judgmental, non-ego, just open listening. You know, what is the truth? It doesn't matter, you know, what was, I don't know. He wasn't arguing for slavery. He's just saying, like, the South is being misrepresented, you know, so, which maybe it is. I think it probably is. I think most losing sides of a battle are misrepresented. So I think there's some truth to that. Now, how important is it? I think, like I said in the beginning, it's nitpicking. They wanted slaves, and I think they were being taxed higher because of slavery. And so, in the end, you can boil it down that way. But yeah, so it's just interesting. I think, yeah, the greater thing was the taxes, and then the federal freedom of slaves happened as a result of a war maneuver, for lack of a better word. So, I mean, that's an interesting new perspective. In the end, it doesn't matter. Obviously, slavery is wrong, and we want people to be treated equal and with equal rights and freedoms. So, anyway, that's enough on that. I just don't want any baloney. Don't put any baloney in the comments, people. It's just, you know, freedom of speech and open ears and non-judgmental perspectives. And that's it. It is time to teach you how to poop. So here, I dug a hole. Look at all the dirt. That's all the dirt I dug up. That's the hole. It's supposed to be 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches deep. And this little guy is about 7 inches. So I stick him in there. And this could be a little bit deeper. But this is pretty good. This is good enough. I'm calling it good enough because it is hard to get 6 inches down. So don't follow my example. Do as I say, not as I do. But sometimes you really have to go. So you just dig as good as hole as you can. So 6 inches deep. You can measure with your shovel, and then also it's supposed to be 4 inches wide, 4 to 6 inches wide. So that one I got covered. And then you do your business in here. You do your business in there. You squat over it, yada yada. And then what you're supposed to do is you take a stick. Well, you're supposed to fill it up a little bit, like halfway, put it back in. If you have water, you pour some water in there, and then you take a stick. And with your stick, you stir it up. So you stir the dirt and the poop all together, and they call it poop soup. So you make yourself some poop soup, and that helps when you mix it all together. It makes the decomposition happen a lot faster. And then you mix it up, you got your soup in there, and then you take your shovel, you put it back all together, get it all back together, and then what I do is I push it down. I step on it, make the hole nice and good, and then I put a stick in there so that people can kind of see a stick out of the ground and be like, uh-oh, there has been some business happening here. The other thing to point out is where am I? Away from the trail. If you said away from the trail, you get a star. So you can go home, tell your mama you got a star today. But yeah, the trail's that way. And this is, I'm going to say, about 80 steps. They say 100 yards, 80 steps away from the trail. So I'm in a nice little secluded spot, and no one's going to be bothered by what I'm doing. I love how much canopy there is here. It's great for the shade. Not so much good for the views, but it makes walking like really nice. Like it's just the whole time basically you're just in the shade of the canopy. It's really great. Here it is. I finished Georgia. Boom. Tiny little plaque, but it's nice, little reminder. And this is cool. You can see this pipe. Probably used to have a book in it to sign, but look at that. Look at the tree, just engulfing it over however many years that takes. Look at this tree. Very odd. I don't know what happened to that. It fell down and then started growing again. That was weird.